Spring is around the corner, and houseplants are one of my favorite ways to update the look of my space. Today I really wanted to focus more on the styling aspect of houseplants. I really enjoy decorating with houseplants because they're constantly changing. They're growing, their forms might change over time, and it really pushes me to be really creative with how I incorporate them into my space. And once you have them, they're an affordable way to create new looks in your space. This is my oldest plant. It's a pothos. I've had this pothos for about 5 years, and recently my cat threw it off of the top shelf that it was on. My cat is okay, and this plant is currently in recovery mode. Pothos are one of the easiest plants to keep alive. If you are new to plants, I highly recommend starting with a pothos. And if you are a houseplant veteran, then you know what I'm talking about. This is my favorite plant because it has given me so many other plants for free. The mom pothos gave me this one and this one. And then right now I am propagating some more leaves in here. It looks like I'm getting some new growth. And this one even has a little variegation in it. I can just keep doing that and keep getting new plants for free. I've done the same with my monstera plant. Look at how beautiful this is. Generally speaking, spring is when I do a lot of my propagation. I like to use this time of the year to think about what plants need to be transferred to a bigger pot and which ones I want to take cuttings from. That way, later on in the spring, the ones that I've propagated should have roots and I can transfer them to a pot with soil if that's what I want to do. The first tip there is to think about what you want to take cuttings from so that early on in the spring you can do that. The next thing I like to think about is the vessels. So here, you might remember when I thrifted this little bud vase. It's a crystal vase, so it's really heavy, and look at how sculptural it looks. It's so fun to be able to take a cutting and be able to get a new element to incorporate into your home. I like to keep an eye out for things like bud vases. This is one I found at the thrift store, and it's made by Kinto. It was missing a little piece, and I got this for a couple of bucks. So I specifically like to keep an eye out for bud vases. And then sometimes I just use what I have. This is just a little jar that was from the packaging of some food. So I have some nice roots coming in there. So here I don't have enough to make a plant yet. I like them to be more full. I am going to take a few more cuttings early on in the spring so that I can create a new plant. This one is from my monstera plant, which you all have seen many times. That one is due for a pruning soon. I like the bigger leaves to really stand out, and I don't like having a lot of smaller leaves on my monstera plant. It has a lot of new growth right now. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to cut back some of the smaller leaves and reshape it. I need a bigger moss pole or stake so that I can shape it to look more like a tree. Without doing that, it is just very floppy and very wide. I like it to look more upright. Once I cut that back, I'll be able to get some more cuttings. I have a lot of great healthy roots here. I am going to transfer this to a pot early this spring also. Another pothos variety. This one was given to me by family. A big thank you to you for these cuttings. Look at how it's thriving. We're getting some new growth closer to the base, and it's looking nice and bushy, which I like. In my experience, pothos are the easiest plants to care for, take cuttings from, and reproduce them and get so many more plants. Over time, you get to play around with something that starts out really small like this, and then eventually you can turn into something much bigger and substantial. I did not propagate this one. I have it in this bowl because it catches the water. I'm so excited to get some cuttings from this one. Something to keep in mind if you are new to plants is the functionality aspect of things. I like to make sure I either get a pot with a tray that's big enough to catch all of the water. I just try to make sure that it's easy for me to make sure that my plant isn't sitting in water after watering it, because that will cause root rot. Not something I want to be dealing with as I have in the past. So I learned my lesson the hard way after losing many plants to root rot when it was really cold and we didn't have heat. Make things easier for yourself and make sure you have proper drainage and that you have something where the water gets caught easily and that you can easily get rid of that water. My next styling tip is to top dress your plants. You can see the difference here between plants that I have added some moss to and the ones that are bare soil. So look at the difference between this, and it has this tray. This one also has some moss in there. The person I bought my art from was so kind and gave me this plant for free. This one is in recovery mode, but here you can just see the difference, right, of something that's in plastic and not top dressed versus something that is in its pot with its little decorative moss on the top. This one is looking better. I cut off the dead leaves. You know, it's doing well. This spring, I will be transferring this one into a nice pot, so that's something I'll be keeping an eye out for. There's different types of moss. I used a Spanish moss, which is what was just available at Home Depot the day that I went. There's so many things you could use to top dress your plants. You could use gravel, you could use moss. There's different kinds of moss. So you could really give some thought to the material you use to top dress your plant based off of the look that you're going for. When it's warmer, they can help keep the moisture in your plants a little longer, so they do have some functional utility as well. In addition to glass vessels, I also like to keep an eye out for pretty ceramics and just make sure that it's watertight. I can either drop a plant in here that has a plastic tray, or I could even plant it in here. If you don't add drainage, you'll just have to be extra careful to make sure that you're not overwatering your plant. Ceramics will bring a different look and a different texture to your space, so just another option to keep an eye out for. I got this one at an estate sale, and I think I got this one at a flea market. I'm not an expert gardener, but I've gotten to a place where taking care of my plants has gotten to be pretty easy. I just use some plant food every month or so. I just put this in the watering can, or you could put it in the plant directly, and that is how I fertilize my indoor plants. If you have a gnat infestation and you're seeing them everywhere, using the yellow sticky traps along with this in my plants took care of that very quickly. My friend gave me these beautiful pruners. I clean my pruners with rubbing alcohol before I use them to prune my plants. Let me know what your favorite houseplants are in the comments below. Now that we're moving out of winter, I'm going to start incorporating some of these plants back out here. Thrifted outfit for today. I got this on eBay. It's from Jones of New York, and the pants are also 100% silk from Eileen Fisher, and I got them secondhand on eBay as well. That's where I get so much of my clothes from. Again, always so fun to share this with you all. Let's style some of these plants. I'll show you some of the other ones that I have.